Hey, good morning, everybody. Hey, welcome to this second week of June. Hope your summer's off to a great start as we head into this second week. Earnings season's starting to really slip away from us as we head into this kind of the last week or the last month of the quarter. And so the next 3 weeks, there'll be a few things come out, but not a whole lot of earnings to be had over this time period. And we ended up Friday with a down day across the three indexes. We'll talk about how that's affecting us as we head into this morning, as well as some things happening over in Europe. With that being said, though, remember there are so many things in this world that you and we have no control over. However, we can control the amount of risk you have in your portfolio, thereby controlling your portfolio. Give me a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule your core retirement analysis. With that, we got Dave coming up next.
5.7 Light FM, the incomparable and for the last 10 years unheard of Mariah Carey there. It's 8:40 now, 20 before 9. Let's us take a look and see what's going on Wall Street, because if you've got anything other than money stuffed in an old mattress, what we talk about this time of the day, really affects your retirement potential. Phillip Statler from Statler Financial Services is on the telephone this morning. Phillip, I hope you had a good weekend.
Hey, we did. It was a great weekend, nice weather, got a little bit of rain, helping the yard a little bit. So things are good there. But you know what? We are in the second week of June, which is the last month of this quarter. And so things slow down a little bit, Dave. And so we don't have really anything on the earnings front today. Maybe we'll see little pops here and there of some earnings, but basically it's just going to be some economic news and downgrades and upgrades.
And heavens to Betsy, we got economic news coming on this week. Setting the table for the morning, just for the sake of backup down the line. Yes, it was an off day on Friday. The Dow ended up off by about 87 points. Standard & Poor's down by about 6. NASDAQ down by about 40. Most of that off of the fact that it doesn't look like the jobs picture is slowing down all that much, but still, you got to look at for the week. NASDAQ was up about 2.3% for the week. Standard & Poor's was up by 1.3%, and the Dow was up by 0.3%. On balance, when you look at this thing 5 years from now and all we get our weekly closes, it was a good week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. But let's look at the year-to-date numbers, because the Dow's really, really behind. They're up less than 3% year-to-date. Compared to the S&P 500 is up a little over 12, and the NASDAQ 100 is up almost 13. So the Dow's got some catching up to do.
It absolutely does, and that I think still indicates the expectations of the consumer. The more interest sensitive the index is, like NASDAQ with its growth stocks, the more optimistic we are and the more likely we are to run the price up. Even if you factor NVIDIA out of the thing, we're simply still optimistic, and you and I both being generally on the cynical side don't necessarily think that's necessarily all that wise right now, do we?
No, we really don't. You and I do agree on that for sure.
we don't bat 1,000 of each other, but both of us think that it's a little bit on the weird side to be expecting an interest rate cut this year. Like you said, it's a slow week for reports. But boy, oh boy, are we going to get flooded starting tomorrow. A little later on today, we're going to get an indication from the New York Federal Reserve what they think inflation is going to be. Back last month, they said they expected the year-end inflation figure to be 3.26%. And if the New York Fed data is something that's important to the Open Market Committee from the Federal Reserve, that's not what we want to see, because they start their meeting tomorrow. On Wednesday afternoon, we get their interest rate decision, and we'll be parsing every single syllable, and that's starting about 2:30. Even before that, though, on Wednesday morning, we're going to get the Consumer Price Index number. How is our consumer inflation looking? Producer prices on Thursday. On Thursday. It's going to be an upsy downsy week when you add on, especially then a consumer sentiment reading on Friday. This could be a real active week, especially given the fact we're into the relative doldrums of summer when volume is a little bit lighter than it normally is anyway.
Well, that's right. People. I don't know if they'll sell in May and go away, but definitely, everybody takes time off over the summertime, and so we're going to see that volumes down, and that sometimes can lead to a little bit more volatility, Dave.
Oh yeah, the hedge fund guy sitting up on north end of Long Island enjoying the sunshine looks at a piece of news items and presses one button on his laptop, and the Dow is going to move 100 points. It's going to be one of those weeks.
Very well could be. Very well could
am
be.
Am I a cynic or what? Tidbits out this morning. We always have fun with GameStop. Well, quick, while the Roaring Kitty and his Reddit gang were busy buying GameStop and running them up, at the end of the week last week they said, hey, this would really be a good opportunity to tell everybody we really sucked for the last quarter. And they did. And I gather on Friday, GameStop did not have a good day, huh?
They did not. They were down almost 40%, closed at $28.22 on Friday. And so if you look at their 52-week range, though, they're at the lower end, but definitely not the low point. They've been as low as $9.95, but they've been as high as $64. So a pretty big spread there.
Which is why you kind of get to the point that the Roaring Kitty and the Reddit gang were doubtless using their sandbox a lot on Friday evening, I'd suspect.
That's right. Hey, Dave, you know what? If you didn't know any better, Dave, if you didn't know any better, you would think NVIDIA was on sale. It's only $120 a share.
Yeah, it's that time. They actually did their 10 for 1 split as of this morning, didn't they?
They did. I looked at it and said, whoa, what happened here? Oh, yes, they were splitting. And so they did. Right now, $120.89.
That prompted me to do a little bit of research and snooping around. And when you take the history of the stock market, when you take a split on your stock, I repeat, almost invariably, your stock ends up outperforming the S&P 500 after you do a split. People see it as more affordable. A bunch of smaller investors say, oh, goody, I can buy 10 shares now for the price of one, not realizing it's not increasing their stake any, but it just feels better. So almost all the time, your market cap goes up better than the Standard & Poor's 500. And I was saying before we went on the air, oh, goody. Unless NVIDIA outperforms the S&P 500 by 5 to 1, they end up getting sold.
Well, that's right. And so, you end up with the little guy can now participate in NVIDIA because at $1,000, $1,200 a share, the little guy couldn't do that. Now he can go buy 5 shares, or 2 shares and start that process of investing in NVIDIA.
Which means, in other words, the amateurs end up driving the price up, and that ends up causing all kinds of consternation with the stock.
It can. It definitely can, Dave. It can play havoc on, especially when it starts to take any kind of dive.
Understood. Let's see. Oh, we also have to mention when we get to the overseas futures, you and I were kicking it around. European futures are really flaky this morning. After the D-Day thing down the line, everybody leaves the D-Day celebration and observance up in Normandy, and President Macron in France says, oh, shucks, I need to call some new elections. So the government in France is all up in the air at the moment, and when we get to the European community, their stocks are falling. That doesn't help us any. They're a major trading partner, and that means that our stocks that are doing business in Europe have a little bit of downward pressure this morning as well, I'd wager.
They do. I will say it is buoying back up a little bit, but it's still red, but just a tinge of red at this point, Dave.
All righty. Other tidbits out if you're an Apple fan. Their Worldwide Developers Conference is today. We're going to see what iOS 18 looks like, and a whole bunch of us are just holding our breath until our face turns blue so we can buy a new iPhone this fall. Are you among them?
I don't know. I replaced mine a little over a year ago, so I think I'm good for right now.
I'm actually due for an upgrade, so I'm halfway interested. I try to upgrade once every 4 systems, and I'm about due this time. But that's going to happen today as well, which may make Apple stock get kind of interesting if they do a good presentation of iOS 18. Like I said, it was kind of a flat day on Friday, a little bit of a red ink day, but not monstrous. 45 minutes before we open this morning, where are we pointing?
Like I said, Dave, we still have some red ink across the board. The Dow's down 0.1%. S&P 500 is down just a tad over 0.1%, and the Nasdaq 100 is down 0.1%. The big loser right now is the Russell 2000, down about 1%. And you got the S&P 500 VIX up almost 1.7% this morning. So a pretty good sized jump for them. On the commodity side of things, we see silver making a pretty good jump this morning, up 1.5%. Still below 30 though, at $29.89 an ounce. Gold is down about 0.1%. Crude oil, Dave, continues to skyrocket again, trying to get back to 80, which I do not like, up a little over 1% to $76.34 a barrel.
All righty, looking overseas, the Asian Rim was a decided mixed bag. Most of the markets were up, but the problem is the mainland Chinese markets and Hong Kong markets were down by the better part of a full percent. The outlier in the bunch among the big ones is Japan. They were up. On balance, it almost looks like a dead flat, steady day in the Asian Rim. Over in Europe, as we mentioned, with the upset on the governmental change over in Japan, European indexes are generally off. It's not a major sell-off, but we're looking at pretty much across the board, 0.5% down on the European trading exchanges halfway through their business day today. Keeping tabs of retirement, how's yours looking? Well, if you're not sure, you need a plan. That means I need to get a hold of you. How do I do that, Phillip?
Dave, that's why I created the Core Retirement Design, to help people design that retirement they always dreamed of. Give us a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule your core retirement analysis. And then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk, 7:30 a.m. and 95.3 FM.
And back here again tomorrow morning with a look ahead for the day and back from head for the day tomorrow and back today. There, I've got it straight. I'll see you then, sir. Enjoy.
All right, have a good one.
It's Monday. I don't have my head together yet. I'll see you tomorrow. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services, Phillip Statler.
Hey, folks, again, I want to thank you for joining us today. I hope your weekend was great. Hope you have a good week. And I really hope you'll join me again tomorrow. Take care until I see you then. Bye now.